to being close. Yeah, it's not so far. Usually in limestone caves, you can have hundreds of meters of rock above the passage. So this food source is not so easy available. And then you have also here that's mentioned, very small. And here you have fungi and bacteria that can coming from debris or from dead animals, or can feed animals. So that's what I mentioned at the beginning. Is a relative new field because this was also overlooked, this fungi and bacteria. And since the last years, actually, that it's a major research, especially in the USA, to look on this fungi and bacteria because they have very unique characteristics. But that's in principle how you see the food chain in lava caves. And the problem is usually you don't see these animals. If you just go on the cave, maybe you don't have good life. So you really have to look for it, and you have to be really skilled to know where you can find them. That makes it a little bit difficult, but also very interesting. So how to collect them, how to do this. So here you see the instruments quite, I think you all biologists are in this field. Quite classics. You have tweezers, which are very soft grip because invertebrates are very small, and so you don't want to destroy them, you don't want to damage them. So it's a special kind of tweezers, and you have maybe also small brushes. So here on the top you see somebody in the mud, maybe in the pool where you have in the water small animals is collecting them, and then you see a small bottle, and there usually we have alcohol of high purity. Why of high purity? Because you need for DNA analysis, you need to have alcohol of very high purity. And that is also one of the new approaches. Come later to this, because to do the taxonomy, you need experts, and now in recent years, DNA sampling analysis has become quite reasonable in pricing. So then it's good if you collect now that the species are in this very pure alcohol. Another way is here with the aspirator. This is here on the right-hand side. You see Josef Grego. So he is one of the, let's say, at least European leading experts for mollusk. And this is in the cave. We were in the Caucasus, so you see him sucking in animals. And you see also the bottle. He has also sealed. So that's how we collect. And you can spend quite some time. So to look in the passage is easily 1 hour, 2-3 hours to look at different areas. So that's how we collect. Of course, we collect not everything. We try to be sensible. But in general, there's the saying, because you see the surface in the passage is so big and large, and there are so many cracks and fissures that by sampling you don't. You get only a really small sample size, and you have to find the balance from taking species and leaving. So, but usually there is no danger in oversampling because just the area is so big and the animals in tiny spaces. One thing I want to highlight is that we use an app for documenting. It's called Cave Life app. It works offline. So this is an app where it's adapted for caves and subterranean species. So you see on the left, you can select the entrance zone. If you sampled at a wall, you can also take GPS coordinates of a cave entrance, describe what is above. Is this a field? Is this a forest? And then there's also a preset selection of taxa. So you can have beds, different species of beds. Of course, this is for Europe, doesn't exist for Africa, but the families are more or less the same. And then you can save it, and when you are back to the surface, later upload it to a database. Yeah, so that makes especially monitoring quite easy and not to losing the data. And this app won last year the EU Natura 2000 award of the European Union. So we are very proud of this, and some of us, they're German friends, a German IT developer. They were traveling to Brazil and receiving this award. Yeah, so it's something I can highlight. If you want to try it, I put in the link. It's freely available. It's a web-based app. You can use it. Then afterwards starts, of course, the hard work. This is nothing new for you. Here you see again Josef in the evening. So we are in the field at the daytime, and then in the evening the work continues, doing the selection under a microscope, a pre-selection, and then you see the glasses and so on, where you sort spiders, beetles, and so on, to send this later for taxonomy and identification to experts. I will come later to this expert. Yeah, so that concludes my first part with a general introduction. And then I would jump into showing you examples of lava caves. Is there any pressing questions or something for this first part? And that would be the right time. Okay, not. Then I will continue. So let's come to Rwanda. Yeah, that's probably what we are all interested. So here you see in red circled actually the area with lava caves. So it's in the Musanze area on the base of the volcano chains. And this area hosts some of the largest lava caves of Africa, and definitely the one with the highest density in Africa at all. There are other areas in Africa like Kenya, Tanzania, where you have lava caves, but they are not of such a high density. That's here unique. That's really unique, even for other regions. I circled in red, you see on the lower side, the Kivu Lake, there's also volcanic area. Near Nyungwe Forest, there's also lava caves, but they seems to be small, but nobody has investigated them. There were some people from the bat researchers, but they were looking for bats, not for fauna. So here an overview of the lava caves of Rwanda. So you see they are quite long. This is results from 3 Swiss-German expeditions quite a long time ago, 2003 to 2007, so really a long time ago. And this was done in cooperation with the Rwanda Development Board. 2 of the members, the 2 Swiss speleologists, they were doing actually 1 year in Rwanda in an exchange program, and they were teaching at schools. And then they became aware of this lava caves, and they approached the Rwanda Development Board. And at this time, it was done in cooperation more with the tourism section. And later, as a result of this, I think then Musanze caves were opened, which are now part of a volcano national park. But you see the lengths quite long. It's 4.5 kilometers the longest. I will show you later a map. And then several ones are more than 1 kilometer. And then there are plenty, a few hundred. So in total, there are 30 kilometers of passages and 80 caves documented. I show you the book down when I made minister. So he had the chance to look at it. Can be ordered online. It's not really expensive. It's a self-publishing. But there's everything properly documented from these caves. Here you see now the locations. In yellow, you see the cave entrances. Let's see if I can. Yeah, I should be saying this here. You see this chain here of yellow dots. So this is the Musanze caves. yeah, which is used to bring in visitors. But here you see all the other caves around. There was also a quick visit into the national park to higher altitudes. So the estimation is that maybe there's double more caves. Yeah, that's around half. It was 3 expeditions with around 2 weeks, but there's more to find. So this is a kind of selection. But what is stunning, and that makes it special, the area is here, I don't know, it's maybe 50 kilometers, 100 kilometers, yeah, it's around Musanze to the border, 25, 50, more than 50 kilometers. Usually caves also in Kenya, they are on a very small area of only a few square kilometers. That you have all the mountain caves is really unique. Yeah. So how does this caves look like? I mean, everybody has in his mind the tubes. Yeah, so I call it lava caves. It's called lava tube caves or pyroducts. And these are long tunnels, yeah, because they develop from the lava flows. So you have very high, low viscosity lava. You need not a very steep angle. So usually they develop on the foot, not high up. And then you have a lava flow, and then the flow drains, and then you have a tube left. Yeah, so that's maybe very intuitive, a little bit simplified mechanism creating these tube caves, but it's more complex. So you can have overflows. I think probably you all more the experts in lava flows volcanism than me. But if you have flows that are very quick and suddenly you have a splatter, a quicker flow, a slower flow, you can have an overflow, and then this is creating sites. And then you can have maze-like caves. And that's actually, you see on the left-hand side, the Ubuvumo Biviwonga, which is 4.5 kilometer long. Yeah, and there you see interconnection of passages and also a lot of cave entrances. So cave entrances are usually collapses from the surface. Yeah, and here you see also large bat colonies. I think this cave has a few thousand, even not 10,000 bats in it. Yeah, and then there must be also a lot of fauna life. Where do we have some of getting a demon? Endemic species, they depend not only, I will come later to this, on the cave type. Usually you need of course, in the dark zones, and then deeper in. Yeah, but there are no rules because it's determined also from the surface environment. Yeah, so like this cave geckos, these were endemics, they were not very deep, or beetles. There is no rule. It depends on many factors. You have to look at each cave and do an assessment. Yeah. Okay. So let's. Okay, the diameter of the tubes is, you see here the scale. So you have seen the entrance is 5 to 10 meters. Yeah. So I will show you pictures next, and then you see for yourself. Okay, so the entrances, as mentioned, are quite small. Sometimes here you see me in December in a cave in, actually that's Uganda. So we're coming to Rwanda, and then we're on both sides. Where I go on the tube. So the first challenge is to find this tube, but usually the local villages, I mean, they are aware of it. Yes, we ask, just nobody knows what is behind it. It's large or small, maybe children have an idea. So usually we have very good light, and then also we really make a survey that we don't get lost, especially if it's a maze cave. That's the maps you have seen. Yeah, so it's a basic thing that you can orient yourself. And then here you see that's actually the cave in Rwanda, not far from Musanze, towards the border of Uganda, halfway, just near the road. You just walk 10 meters from the road. You go in an entrance, and then you are in such a tube. So this is one of the longest lava tubes of Rwanda. It's 2.5 kilometers long and has only a single entrance. Yeah, and we stopped here because there is a lake. So that's why we all looking at it. You had to get really wet. It's more than knee deep, and there we stopped. But for example, there was a question for endemic species. So here is water. So you'd really go now 2.5 kilometers along this tube and look what are the really end. Yeah, so that would be a task, for example, to do. So here another picture where you see roots, yeah, which I mentioned. So it's few meters in diameter. So here you see another tube, but there is a pile on the right-hand side with some mud. So there would for example, look for animals. But it's not always big. Yeah, it can be also narrow. Here you see that you have to squeeze sometimes 4 meters, 5 meters, 10 meters, and then it becomes big again. This is here pictures of an entrance area, which is always special. You see debris is washed in. And just two pictures before I come to the fauna, is there's also geologically interesting features. So here you have a molten solidified lava flow, quite special. And here you have also a kind of lava flow solidified in the cave. Yeah, so it's expected also. And here on the ceilings, you see there is some yellow stuff. So this could be this biomuds. And this is very deep. This was 1 kilometer into the cave. There's no other entrance. Okay, so as next, that's a major, of course, a major topic. You wonder what are the animals you can find. So here's a horseshoe bat. So there are projects in Rwanda looking on bats. So that's not our focus. There are other experts doing this, like Julius Nitzia or Paul Webeler. What we are interested is in this. It's maybe not so obvious. So this is millipedes. Here's also centipedes, millipede centipedes from the family Ulidae. Yeah, I have to say I'm not an expert in this taxonomy, but friends of mine did the pictures who are really specialists. This is from December, and then we sent these pictures to experts we know who can help with the first level identification. So it's only to the family, it's not deeper. To really determine it's a new species, you have to go to experts. So here you see harvestmen that you can find. And then that becomes interesting. You have comb spiders, but already here you see they are translucent. So you have a loss of color only in the legs. Here another example. It's even more translucent. That's what we're looking for. So that would be really interesting because these are spiders. We have experts for spiders in Frankfurt in the Senckenberg Museum, who would be able, for example, determine if this is a new species or not. Yes, you can have the PDF of this presentation. No problem. So here another comb spider. But there's also, let's say, nice animals that are surprises. So they're always surprises. I think biology is always full of surprises, also underground. Here is a nice beetle. Oh, thanks, Pat. Which is colorful, and it shows, it's just a few millimeters long. So you really need a different attitude to look on what is in these passages. It's a shaking spider, and here you see the eggs of the spider. That's I don't know. Sorry, there are still the German names. And here to conclude before I come in, because time is going a little bit short, is showing an leaf-footed bug. And here you see some plants, so it's more in the entrance area. That's a record. That's from December, just 2 months ago, from Uganda. So that's you see the case. We visited the lengths, and then we have a first classification. So the challenges for conservation is that you are not aware the caves are underground. And the biggest challenge, I mean, there are positives, but one of the most negative is you have pesticides, agriculture from the top, obvious. So the entrance can be in the forest, but actually the end of the tube with a high specialized biodiversity is under a field, maybe even under a village. And then you can imagine if you use pesticides, they go in the soil and this all dies. That's the most obvious. Other things is you have a forest, you clean it. So that's the most, for lava caves, the highest threat. From the surface. Another challenges for conservation is that it's very difficult to determine if it's a new species or not. I'm coming to this. There are very few key experts, and they are limited. That's a challenge. That's why the eDNA sampling is now becoming more popular, but you need reference databases. That also takes time to, especially you always need in the end an expert. Then also caves is, it's not everybody likes to go in the dark underground, especially if it's then suddenly only a half-meter high. So you have to cooperate with cavers. Monitoring is a high effort, and it's multidisciplinary. But this, so the people of different disciplines have to cooperate. There's also cultural value of caves. There's a geological value of caves. There's maybe a touristic value of caves. But I don't have you to tell you as a center of excellence what are the challenges of multidisciplinary approaches. And databases and biodiversity is only existing in few countries, and most national parks, they don't aware of caves. So even in Europe, in the Azores, examples, so it's just not aware. So we are here on something quite new. So what would be steps, to look into this biodiversity, and also then to work on conservation aspects and information. So I put here by purpose the SDGs. So I think it's important to mention them because it's quite often forgotten. And in communications, I think that is guiding us. So initial assessment would be to look already what fauna is in the documented case I have shown you. So like, for example, in this very long cave, what is in the end, in this maze, to focus on a wider area to look. Still also complement the documentation of other caves, because every cave is unique, different. But in this new documentation, you would really take care about the fauna. And then you would determine maybe focus areas lower in the landscape. Also would be interesting higher in the mountains in the national park, because it could be different in higher altitude than lower altitude. And then the start would be to have a reference collection runner. So to have somewhere a collection in an institute, in a university, where you have a good microscope, you have good storage condition, so that you have reference samples that are accessible. And then maybe also if there is an international export could look at it, then there would be a good accessibility. Of course, documenting it, I learned that there is a Rwanda biodiversity information system. Would be happy to put the data in. And then at a certain point, you would have to send the samples really for taxonomy to export, which are worldwide. And then there would be, of course, a task in educating, making aware of is, and then if there are unique caves, to start to conserve them. Just a remark, there are also this nature conservation programs for bat conservation. There would be synergies with this. Of course, it's the same objective. They also work partially in caves. So I will conclude. So there's a unique biodiversity. And lava caves in East Africa are not systematically investigated. Sorry. I think for Rwanda, there's nobody aware that these caves are so unique, have a high potential. And yeah, I mean, they are vulnerable, and but it's a high effort, and it really needs a systematic long-term approach. Okay, I conclude with this slide. So this is here the books. Yeah, there is one standard book. It's a second edition, Oxford University Press, 2019. Calver Pipam, one of the key experts, is an overview. Highly recommended. The other book is really new from last year, but it's more edited. It's specialized already. Yeah, so the left book is a reference which really summarizing 20 years of research in subterranean habitats. Good, then Murakosi, thank you very much, and looking forward to hear your questions.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was really, really interesting. There are some questions in the chat space, so maybe I can run through those. And I think not all of them were addressed yet. And if anybody wants to unmute, you can also unmute and ask your question directly. So there's one question from Jean de Dieu. Where do we have high probability of endemic species, the opening, middle, or inside of the lava tube?
Yeah, there is no general answer to this, yeah, because every cave is unique. So the founders to determine what was on the surface, yeah, like if you have roots. Yeah, I mean, if you have bed guano, so usually, for example, that would be if you have bed colonies deep in the cave, that would be the place to look. Yeah, because then there is a quite constant source of food. Yeah, and then you have also this food pyramid. Yeah, you find much more. Yeah, so that would be obvious. Let's say if you bed colonies deep in the cave, maybe where a constant lake is deep. Yeah, so usually away from entrances, but there is also near the entrance you find new species. Yeah, so but that would be in direction. But in general, the rule is there is maybe guidelines, but you always can have surprises, and important to look at everything. Okay. Hope this answers the question.
Jean de Dieu, is that okay answering your question?
Okay.
Okay, good, thank you. And then there's two questions about the tubes themselves. One is about if you can give an estimate or range of the diameter of the tubes, and then is there a means of aging the tubes?
Aging. Yeah, so the diameter, I mean, because so many cases are, let's say, the tubes, if you have a wall, it's 5 to 10 meters wide and high, quite large. A lot of they are walking. A lot of things you can walk, so maybe 4 by 5, but there's always suddenly the ceiling is going low, and then maybe you crawl 5-10 meters, yeah, and then it's becoming big again. Yeah, so sometimes it needs determination, and this maze caves, they are a little bit more shallow. But in general, I find them really cozy and nice. They are sometimes a little bit dark. The good thing, there is no sharp rock. Yeah, everything is yeah, for other caves, it's quite smooth. So I don't think, I mean, over here they are frightening. If you have good luck, they're actually quite nice to explore. So we took many people with us in caves, and usually always coming out with a smiling face. Yeah. So to answer this, yeah. For animals, I saw this. I think in dry areas, there can be porcupines and hyenas in them. Maybe sometimes snake in the entrance areas. So we had once a porcupine in Kenya. I think hyenas, I'm not sure, and it's more in desert, maybe savanna is one of the threats. Otherwise, not. In general, I think the most dangerous part of caving is driving by car to the entrance.
There's another question about any information about local knowledge or exploration, historic use, or exploration of the caves.
Historical, I mean, there are records of exploration. So we have this. There were sometimes, especially from colonial times, there were investigations. We know also that some of the caves, they have a cultural value, especially Musanze cave, for example, had prehistorical artifacts in the drier ones. But the one, for example, we showed you, most people didn't look at it until this 2003 to 7 explorations. So that's so it's like a quick summary. Yeah, so there has been something done during colonial times, but a lot of things are still unknown, or maybe only very few local people know.
I think we answered the question about from Vinod about caves being terrifying. You kind of talked about that.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're going to share the PDF. Catherine is a geophysicist studying volcanoes here in Rwanda, so I knew she would be interested in this talk. Simon had a question. He said he's impressed with your projects. He's been working with invertebrate species, and he would like your contacts and the presentation. So I think it can help us connect. And Simon also put his email in the chat so that you could contact him directly.
Yeah, I can do this. Yeah.
And Bruna asked, she's one of the postdocs here. She asked, what's the most surprising organism you've ever encountered in a cave?
Most surprising. I think that there is some, suddenly when you have some.
Are you there, Jörg?
Yes. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. I think sometimes is like say fish. Yeah. So that was in Myanmar where we suddenly had a species of blind cave fish, and they actually were the highlight that made it into an anniversary publication into Fauna Flora International. So that was one highlight, and the other one was definitely the cave geckos. Yeah, and the third maybe to say that sometimes you find color in caves. Yeah, like the beetle.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Where was that found?
This beetle. Ah, that was in a cave in Uganda.
The fish.
The fish was in Southeast Asia. Yeah, that was in Myanmar. Yeah. So
Okay.
that's where my record is coming from. Yeah. So I was working on.
Then there's another question.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
The aging of caves.
Okay, there's a question from Christine about.
Yes, yeah, cannot hear you. Ed, what did you say? Okay, so maybe I just go ahead. I think aging of caves is.
Are you still there, Dave?
I think that is. Okay.
Yeah, maybe her internet is not good.
Yeah, it's okay. I think she will come back. So just that I catch up with some of the questions. I think the aging, the lava tubes can be quite new. It's just a few 10,000 years old. I mean, lava tubes are special because, I mean, they dependent on the eruptions of volcanoes. So, but that's a different topic on the also people investigating for lava tubes from this. We have also contacts, but usually this lava caves may be a few 10,000 years old, and they don't age much. Yeah, so usually they stay. Our experience is just stay. It's not so sensitive as you might think. I'm not sure about in the rainy season with the water floods. Yeah, this is, but it seems the caves they don't flood. It's just a stream, a shallow stream, but the caves don't flood. So that's what I can say for the aging. Yeah, as rates of variation, oxygen availability. No, lava caves not. Because they're close to the surface. It's in limestone caves, you can have this. So you have leaves in, and then you have CO2, high CO2 levels. This can happen. We should be sensitive to it. In the lava caves, when you come to the end, then you can have high humidity, especially in end areas. And there you usually have bats, because bats, they don't like wind, So, but no, never we had any problems with oxygen. I think in lava caves is also unlikely, but you should be sensitive.
Yeah, that's great to hear. And maybe animals living there are even adapted to the environment there.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and I had a second question. Beth missed that, but I can raise it now. It is about ecosystem services. Did anyone study ecosystem
Sorry, I
services
didn't
in your
miss it. I
study
was just
department?
running through the questions in order. But anyway.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, there have been, of course, in the ecosystem services, but I know this more systematically from limestone caves, Most obvious is bats, yeah, because I mean, I mean, in Kenya, we found in a a bat colony of 1 million bats in 1 million. Nobody was aware of it. Nobody was aware of it because I can show you a video link. It was a cave, a lava cave, 300 meters, full, and people were not aware. But you can imagine what these bats do. They eat insects. Yeah, in the evenings they go out, but people don't usually. It was in the desert area, sub-desert area. So here also in Rwanda, I mean, one of the caves, there were definitely 10 to 50,000 bats. So this is a service. They go to the fields, they eat the insects. That's the most obvious.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah.
Vinat, maybe you can
see.
continue. My internet is very unstable, so I'll let you continue moderating the questions.
Okay, thank you very much. I can. Yeah. The other question was, can I come to the question from Marie Christina Gasingirwa? She said, are there no traits of variation in oxide? You talked about it also.
Yes, yeah, I think that's the answer.
Yeah, also about aging. And Bruna says, thank you for the talk and your answer. Extremely fascinating, very interesting. No more question in the chat room as I can see, except someone who may have a question in mind. She or he can unmute and say it. Is there anyone else who want to ask something or give a comment?
Okay.
I can see Jordan James. Can you unmute and speak, Jordan?
Okay.
Jordan, you are welcome to speak.
Maybe you can put it also in the chat box if the microphone
Yeah,
doesn't work.
yeah, that's another idea. Unmute and speak or type the question in the chat room. Or I can receive someone else, and when Jordan is ready, he can speak. Someone else who want to speak?
Hetero and sodality needs.
Maybe he want to ask how does animals access water and how do they adapt it to changing seasons?
Yeah, usually that's especially the characteristic. Very deep in the cave, you have no changes. Temperature is constant, humidity is constant. So if you have areas, for example, where the water is not coming in from the rainy season, it's not changing at all. Yeah, because that's the thing. The cave, if it's a little bit deeper, has always an average temperature of the year. Yeah, and the humidity is always close to 100%. So that makes it interesting. And there's discussions, so why animals would live in such an environment. The one theory is like maybe the surface is becoming less habitable because then there's a variation. So maybe the temperature changes, and then animals, they go into the caves where they have a stable environment. Other theory is that species coming from the surface, and then they just by evolution they just develop characteristics that makes them to be able to live comfortably in this. But as shown in the beginning, it's one of the advantages. Very deep in the cave, it's very, very stable, just dark.
Yeah, that's interesting. Anyone else who has a question or a comment? Maybe no. I want to thank everyone for coming in this seminar. Thank you very much. Specifically, Yog. I'm not sure if I pronounce it well, but
Is perfect.
yeah. Thank you very much. The talk was very interesting because this is maybe a new area of research in Rwanda. I can think that most caves in Rwanda are not explored yet and see which biodiversity is there. And it's interesting to see this talk. Maybe it's an inspiration and informative about the next research in Rwanda. People from different organizations doing the work in different taxa can start exploring our caves in Rwanda. But before concluding, I saw a hand of someone and maybe we can give him a chance to speak. But I don't remember who because Oh, Olivier, can you speak?
Yeah, thank you so much. First of all, I'm sorry to be late because my area is somehow low connection. But I was asking about the cave, the bird from the cave. Wait a
Yeah,
moment.
there are many caves. Almost every cave has few beds. Yeah, so that's quite, I mean, more than 50, but you will have some individual beds, maybe 5 somewhere in the passage. Yeah. The colonies, that's more not everywhere. because you need some certain conditions, especially maybe an area that is a little bit sheltered. But still, many caves have. Yeah. So I mean, like a colony. I mean, it's a little bit guessing, but I think every maybe 20%. So I mean, it's has a colony. Yeah. So, but it may be just few hundred. Yeah, and some really they have thousands.
Yeah, thank you so much. But I was asking how long from the top of the cave, how long the bats can
They are
live?
sometimes in the entrances. The colonies, they can be everywhere. Yeah, depends strongly on the shape of the cave. You know, sometimes you have seen this overflow. So then you have close to the entrance, maybe you have a side passage. Yeah, and then this is a little bit sheltered. And then you have beds there. So they can be everywhere. It's more like that you have a local room or a little bit hall where they can hang comfortably, beginning and.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
yeah. Thank you very much, Yog. Marie Christine and Hilary are expressing their gratitude. Thank
Okay.
you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for inviting me to give this talk. Yeah, it was a pleasure and to see so many faces. Hopefully being soon in Rwanda again. Yeah, and then thank you all for your interest.
You are welcome. And of course, when you have another talk in the future, don't hesitate to contact me. The same to anyone else here. If you want to speak to us about anything related to conservation or natural resource management, please get in touch with me. I will put you in the schedule and you speak to us. We learn from each other, we grow together.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye. Yeah.
Okay, bye-bye to everybody.